Alright guys, so if you have a TXT and you are sick and tired of having to replace the F&R switch potentially multiple times throughout the year, this video is a great way to get rid of that and never have to worry about doing that again. What I mean by the F&R switch is this bad boy right here. If you are tired of saying lugs melting down and this cart stops working, or having to deal with this stupid rod that links over to your forward and reverse lever, tired of having to deal with how hard they get sometimes, what I've done in this video will take care of that completely. It gets rid of it. You no longer have to worry about that forward and reverse switch. What's up everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Kart Smart TV. A couple months ago I had a customer give us a call and says golf cart stopped moving. Found out that it was an F&R switch. Well, it's happened about 2 more times since the first time. I mean, it's pretty common. It's pretty common on the EZGOs, and that's what I have here. Let's check out what I got first. I have a 2003 EZGO TXT. As I was saying, that the golf cart has melted down the forward and reverse switch quite a few times on our customer here. And so what we're going to do is we are going to convert this golf cart to a push button rocker. I guess you'll say a rocker switch for forward and reverse. We're going to go with a Navitas controller and an upgraded motor. And we're also going to do away with the forward and reverse switch, which you're going to get working on getting all this out. I don't think I'm going to take out the batteries. I don't think I'm going to have to. But I am going to remove all the cables, clean up all their ends, get a bunch of corrosion on them, so we're going to get them cleaned up for them. Get this out of here, motor out, and then get back to our install. Alright guys, there is the motor out of the EZGO. I did have to let the rear end hang, so I had to take the bottom shackle bolts out of the leaf spring shackles, both sides, and the shocks. You have to let the shocks go too. That way you can get it down, because there's not enough room between the back bag wheel of the golf cart and the battery tray, which is right there. There's not enough room to slip it out and get it out from between the axle and the battery tray, nor the axle and the back of the cart where the bag wheel begins. So just drop it down like this. It'll slide out. Makes it a little easier actually, because you're closer to the ground as well. You can keep a lot more leverage to your arms and your body. That way you don't get hurt trying to get this thing out of there. And here is our new motor, guys. It's a bit bigger than the stock motor, but that's because it's been built for a little more speed and torque. So we're going to give this customer a big jump in a lot of areas. Quality, run time. It's going to be a lot faster than it was. It's going to be able to pull a lot harder than it did. Alright guys, there we go. Got our motor bolted up to the rear end. Got the rear end put all back in place. Got the springs hanging back again. Got our shocks reattached, both sides. And you can see the motor running there. Now that I got a few things out of the way, show you guys another common problem with the electrical system. This wire you see right here in my hand has the green, white, black, and red. Okay, so your green and red come from your micro switch, which activates your solenoid when you hit the pedal. And then the black and white are from the ITS sensor, your inductive throttle sensor. So a lot of times there's a factory square 4-wire plug that goes from the solenoid wires to this set of cables here, and they normally just plug together. A lot of times you will have problems with your connections on the inside, like melting down, or the little ends just get corroded and break off, so they no longer touch, but they can arc, and so arcing can cause it to melt down also. But looks like they've had this problem before. They cut it out, they put butt connectors, or not butt connectors, but wire nuts on them, and got back to moving again. But I'm going to bring this back to normal, put the plug back on it, because we will need it for the controller install. And yeah, we're going to take care of that for these guys, and going to get all the rest of our electronics unboxed and start putting everything back in the golf cart. Alright guys, alright everybody, so here we have our electronics. Got our controller. Yes, the box is upside down. We have our wiring harness with our F&R rocker, forward and reverse. We have, which he's already got this one, our guy that makes these for us, he has already incorporated the plug I was telling you about back there, and you can see how these plugs are together. We're putting it back original just for the purposes of it being the way the owner of the cart wants. We also got a few extra of these in stock from the same person. He builds them for us. That way we can replace it back to factory, and we can get also the opposite side if we need to fix the side of the cart. And then we have our cable set. That's our battery cables, motor cables, solenoid, the whole 9 yards. So let's get to work on putting this bad boy in. Okay guys, so now we have laid in our wiring harness. We've got everything we need to be attached to the controller, to our ITS and solenoid. Got our speed sensor wire running back to the motor. Have our tow run switch laid out in the general direction of where it's going to go. Then I also went ahead and throwed my rocker and pod. I did unhook the rocker itself so that if I need to undo the wires, it's a little easier to do. Take a chance of not breaking it. And then lastly, we got our key switch wires run back up through the dash. And of course we'll be pulling some of this back once we get it all hooked up and everything. And so yeah, it's not too bad. Maybe it took me about 15 minutes. Now I'll remind you all that I haven't zip tied anything yet. I'm actually probably going to pull this wire here back out, run it in behind the bar here so that it can be zip tied to it very nicely, and then run it up through here, run some zip ties up through these spaces here to hold our wire underneath nice and tight. Be out of the way pretty good. Controller back in, get our solenoid hooked up, do all that good stuff, get everything plugged in, and then start zipping away the wires that we can for the moment, and then finish on zipping up everything where the key switch wire runs right back into the place of the old harness. And when I say the old harness, I mean the 2 wires that were there for your key switch and then your solenoid activation. It's the whole thing. You pull it all the way out because you do not need any more of that stuff. Alright guys, here we go. Got our controller mounted up. Got our solenoid mounted up. I was telling you about the wire connector that was burnt and sometimes gets burnt. It's pretty common with this model. Well, we've got that fixed up. Got some really nice butt connectors with the heated ends that have the glue in it so that it will actually seal off the wires and there's no chance of corrosion building up for a very, very long time. And then I went ahead and put some of my smaller wires where they belong also, like my activation wires here, and you can see it says coil, and that means for all 3 that go here, because there's 3 wires that come out, red, white, green, and then the red. Well, the red has to go with the main positive battery cable that comes off and goes to the solenoid. That's got to go with it, because that's where your voltage gets picked up into your low amp side, basically the golf cart side. So we're working our way on through. I've got the main controller harness plugged in. I've got the B- low amp side where it looks for its negative on the low side, but it is tied into the high amp side as well. So this is your main negative for the entire wiring harness. Alright guys, so we got our key switch wires attached. As I said, they have labels. Does not matter which side you put these on. One side's looking for 36, the other is just cutting it on. And here's wires for your gauge. You could put whatever ends necessary on this that you need. We're not using one here in this case, so I'm just going to leave them capped off. Now I'm going to come in here and just tidy this up. Like I said, going to get all this loomed up and zip tied together. Run my forward and reversing wires back behind here and get it all zip tied up real pretty like so. Yep. Alright guys, so we got the extra length of the key switch wires and gauge wires here all tied up. Left it a little bit loose here so that way you can get it to hook back in. And then I'll get my rivets for the 2 holes, and back in the dash it goes. Alright guys, quick recap of everything we've done. So we've put a wiring harness in here, started from the key switch, worked our way back down the frame rail just as the factory one did, right through the bottom of the frame, right into there, coming out right here where you see this white wire coming out. That's the whole bundle of wires there, so it's dark in there. And we got our solenoid squared away, controller squared away and wired up, all bolts tight. Now it's time to finish off with the batteries. Alright guys, got our cables on our batteries. Had a couple of pieces this gentleman had to have fixed here on the ends of the battery terminals ourselves. We got our cables on, everything's hooked up. Now it's time to power the system up, and let's see what we got. We'll flip our toe run. Alright, we had our flash of green. We're going to cut the key switch on. Solid green. Gonna hit it forward. Solenoid click. Oh. Got movement. Let's go reverse. Got movement. Alright. Realized that I had wired it up backwards somehow, but these two for me ended up being swapped, because it would go forward and reverse, reverse and forward, so I swapped them and we looking good now. And there's reverse. Got that straight. Alright, now we're just going to finalize these little details here and spray up our batteries with protectant, snip off the remaining zip ties that are there, just double check everything one last time, and set this thing on the ground, take it for a spin. As always, guys, we appreciate you watching our videos. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, give us a comment, make sure you grab that bell so that way you can see any of the new videos we're going to put out. Thank you again for watching, and God bless you all.
Day breaks and I'm burned by the morning light. I make the same mistake more than twice. Same song, but brand new dance. I wear out my third second chance. You take my breath and I can't get it back. Might be time for me to face the facts. The best me is with you, but I know I got a lot to prove. They think we're too damaged to fix, but we're just working through a little rust.